Odyssey Sims, she had an outer body experience in this game. A hell of a ride. A insane season. The Aces had all their horses. And the Indiana Fever without Kelsey Mitchell gave them hell. Injuries in this season, absolutely bananas. It did not go anything like anybody thought it would.
The Indiana Fever had every reason to fold. Star guard Kelsey Mitchell injured mid-game.
We lose Kelsey Mitchell in the third quarter. At that point, you're wondering, is it over? They helped her off the court. They brought out a stretcher for Kelsey. She did not want to get on it. Is this thing over? Is this how it's going to go down?
Playing the powerhouse Aces in an overtime battle on tired legs. But then Odyssey Sims stepped up and dropped 27 points like she'd been waiting her whole career for this moment. How did a short-handed Fever squad, facing overwhelming odds, nearly steal a game no one thought they'd even keep close? Let's break down how this turned into one of the most unexpected showdowns of the season. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
Kelsey played 23 minutes, had 15 points, 27 points, 40 minutes, 7 of 14. It looks like Aaliyah Boston showed up huge.
You think a player who was barely hanging around the league last season is about to walk in off the bench and drop 27 points on the best team in the league? Nobody expected that, but that's exactly what Odyssey Sims did the moment Indiana lost their top scorer. Normally, when a team's main offensive weapon goes down, everything falls apart. The energy drops, possessions get sloppy, and a powerhouse like the Aces usually smells blood right away. Instead, the entire arena saw a player who refused to let the game slip away and played like her career was on the line. Remember, Kelsey Mitchell wasn't just another starter. She was the Fever's leading scorer, the one player opposing defenses always had to account for.
Mitchell got hurt. It looks like the Aces are about to run away, and next thing you know, you look up and the Fever have tied the game. With having all their horses and to get punched right back in the mouth, the Aces, they don't impress me much.
When she went out in the third quarter, most of us assumed that was it. Against Las Vegas, of all teams, you don't lose your number one option and still expect to trade punches. The Aces run multiple all-stars at you every possession. Aya Wilson can give you 20+ without breaking a sweat. Chelsea Gray controls pace and angles better than almost anyone, and that's before you even look at their depth. For Indiana, this should have been the moment they lost grip. But instead, Sims flipped the script.
It was an unbelievable showing from these young ladies. Wow, she was in serious pain. He put up a Kelsey with a heart. There she was. Look at that picture, man.
What made it wild wasn't just the scoring, but the way she carried Indiana's offense with no hesitation. 7 for 14 from the floor is efficient, but the timing of those shots is what told the story. Down the stretch, she attacked the rim, twisting through defenders for a layup that tied the score and kept hope alive. She didn't let the Fever crawl into half-court battles where Vegas thrives. She kept pushing the tempo, forcing mismatches, sprinting into lanes, and making the Aces scramble. Every time it felt like Vegas was ready to bury them, Sims grabbed the ball and forced them to delay the celebration.
That's really something else. Right here, Odyssey Sims tying the game. Another look at it right here. Same play. That was with 22.5 left. She gonna drive in and hit the layup for the tie. That's something else.
Think about it. Sims wasn't even expected to have this kind of role when Indiana picked her up. She was signed more as insurance, a steady guard they could turn to when rotations got tight. Instead, she ended up logging a full 40 minutes, not only staying on the floor, but controlling it. That's not how depth pieces usually perform. That's how stars perform. Any other night, we're talking about Aya Wilson leading her team or Chelsea Gray dissecting another defense. On this night, the conversation shifted toward the player nobody had circled on the scouting report. The only way I can describe it is that it felt like one of those classic playoff moments where a role player suddenly turns into the hero of the night.
If Caitlin Clark would have played in this series, if Sophie Cunningham would have been healthy, Caitlin Clark played, they beat this ACES team. Asia in her face, and she knocked it down. That was with 3:25 left. There's a chance the Fever costs themselves a ring, a championship this year.
You've seen those series where one guy comes out of nowhere, starts drilling shots, and all of a sudden, he's carrying the offense. That was Sims here. The ball found her hands, and instead of deferring, she owned the moment. She had that same stubborn confidence you usually see in veterans who know they belong on that stage, even when the odds are tilted against them. And what made it even more impressive is that she wasn't completely alone in the fight.
For Odyssey Sims not to be on a team, for Shea Petty to not be on a team with some of the worst basketball I've ever witnessed.
The Fever's supporting cast didn't fold either. They rebounded tough, they rotated on defense, and they stayed locked into every possession. It wasn't just one player hitting shots. The rest of the group made sure the game actually mattered long enough for Sims' buckets to count. Without that teamwork, those big drives wouldn't have swung momentum.
One thing I want to bring up here that is just shocking. Odyssey Sims wasn't on a team played by some of these players and some of these teams across this league.
Indiana had the Aces sweating deep into the night, something few teams can honestly say. By the time the final horn sounded, the box score showed a loss, but the film revealed something different. Indiana proved they had more than one player who could take over a game, and Sims proved she could do more than just hold a roster spot. She turned herself into the heartbeat of the offense, at least for this night, and gave the Fever a fighting chance against a team most people thought would steamroll them. Of course, all of this takeover energy only came because of that sudden and brutal moment in the third quarter, the instant when Indiana's plan had to be rewritten in real time. This loss didn't feel like a step backward. It felt like proof.
I did get the feeling that Odyssey Sims was like, in a way, playing for her WNBA life. You know, it's hard to say it wasn't a disappointing season. The girls fought hard. All these other teams, another look, because strangely enough, neither one of these players are likely to be on this squad next year.
Indiana showed they'll fight through injuries, star power, and even overtime battles without folding. That's not just luck, that's culture. Imagine this team with Kelsey Mitchell still on the floor, dropping threes when Sims needed a breather. Suddenly, the Fever aren't just hanging around, they're finishing games. And if Sims keeps stepping into this bigger role, Indiana is way closer than people think. So now it's on you. Do you see Sims as a long-term piece? And would a healthy Clark have been the deciding factor tonight?